Please welcome Eli Casdin, founder and CIO, Casdin Captial.
I'm really appreciative to be here. They asked me to say something contrarian. Luckily, I'm a biotech investor, so basically my contrarian call is being long mid-cap biotech in a stable or declining rate environment. So the Fed rope tightening sort of pulled capital away from the small and unprofitable and sent it to the magnificently large and profitable and with modest growth. It also unleashed an enormous wave of volatility in biotech and basically turned it into sort of a 1970s New York fear city, and reduced basically the entire space to a small, really small cap sector. Just for context, about 35% now trades in between 0 and $100 million market cap. 85% are sort of below the $3 billion threshold. The good news is that if the hikes were an elevator down, cuts and recession may be an escalator up. Small caps do generally well in that environment. Biotech does particularly well and is sort of a recession-proof investment. It's not cyclical in the traditional way, and also it doesn't have many earnings to revise. Biotech has basically been a great coal mine canary for inflation and the subsequent rate hikes. And it's sort of signaling that the oxygen may be coming back into the mind, maybe rising a bit. But the reality is what just transpired wasn't an innovation drain. It really was a capital drain that put us in sort of the deepest downturn, but also the longest. And duration is a problem when you're not self-sustaining. And it really turned fortified balance sheets into sort of shallow expense accounts. It reduced valuations to sort of decade lows. Just to give you context, Eli Lilly's sort of fat-busting market cap is now larger than all of the biotech public market combined. The investor group has sort of favored software and chip tech and not biology tech, and that sort of turnaround and rebound has not really filtered down into our sector. So we're really on our backs. The good news is that innovation is not really on its back. Science is not a failure of science, it's a failure of capital. We are innovating in cancer, bending the curve on cancer mortality, which is obviously incredibly relevant to all of us being here today. Rare diseases are starting to resolve neurodegenerative disorders. So it's really an amazing, innovative time. And biopharma is almost completely addicted to biotech products. About 2/3 of all commercialized products over the last 15 years have originated out of biotech. And good news is they're back to buying. And so it's usually a typically good time to come into the market when biopharma has set the floor price. So how do you play it? What are some of our ideas? First, I think you want to be in the consolidators, or those that are sort of in a turnaround. Whether it's a Standard Bio that's sort of a baby Danaher pulling really great products onto a shared operational business, or great products like Illumina that just were incredibly mismanaged now with new management teams. Or companies like GeneDx that went through the sort of cold winter and actually can see profitability in the not too distant future. You can also really hunt out the innovators that can get paid for their innovation, going after sort of genetically driven cancers that are actually big markets like pancreatic and lung, I guess, again, totally relevant to why we're here today, or gene editing companies that are really doing in vivo cures. And the beauty is that some of them are cheaper today than they were yesterday, literally. And then you can also find these ones that are actually commercial businesses that are on the cusp of cash flow positive with sort of FDA approval of next generation products. So I conclude by saying, biotech requires Dramamine. It's a very sort of volatile space, but if you hold on, even in the nadir of the market, it's not a bad compounding return. So thank you very much from a biotech guy.
Eli, how do you think about the risk that companies with great computational power, like Google AlphaFold, obsolete the R&D, the legacy R&D techniques, the ways of discovery that most of these guys have mastered?
I mean, the good bad news is there's people still die, and we don't want to. And so there's a lot of innovation to happen on the target side. So AlphaFold and computational tools actually are accelerants to innovation. It still takes 8 to 10 years to clinically develop a drug, and that's not going to be changed so quickly by those technologies.
Thanks a lot.